The girl at the station. The train's whistle shrieked once more, long and lonely, before vanishing into the desert wind. Smoke hung in the air like a gray shroud. Iron wheels groaned against the track, then silence. Only dust swirling in the heat. The girl stayed where she was, small and stiff on the sun-baked platform, clutching a frayed canvas bag in one hand and a ragged doll in the other. The crowd that had stepped off the train was already scattering. Men in bowler hats pushing through, women tugging children along, cowhands spitting into the dirt as they drifted toward the saloon. Not a single soul paused by her side. She scanned every face, eyes hopeful, then dimming. No one met her gaze. A storekeeper shook his head and muttered to another, "Orphan, sure enough. Ain't nobody coming." The girl pulled her shoulders tight and pressed the doll to her chest. The platform boards creaked beneath her boots. The heat beat down, so hard the sky itself looked like it might crack. Across the street, the saloon doors squealed open. A figure leaned against the frame, half swallowed by shadow. A hat brim dipped low, hiding his eyes. He drew on a cigarette, the glow flaring once, then fading. The girl did not notice him. She was too busy waiting. A horse clopped by, stirrups jangling, dust rising around its hooves. The rider cast a glance at the girl, then looked away fast, like guilt had struck him. The townsfolk did the same, quick glances, quicker avoidance. The girl whispered into the doll's torn ear, "They'll come." They promised. A gust of wind rattled loose boards along the depot wall. A newspaper page fluttered down the street, tumbling end over end until it slapped flat in a mud puddle. Still she stood, small as a shadow against the glaring sun. Time stretched. The crowd thinned. The station emptied. No footsteps approached. From a saloon doorway, the man's jaw tightened. His shoulders slumped against the frame, as though he carried some burden no one else could see. The cigarette burned down between his fingers. He let it fall, grinding it into the dust with his boot heel. Inside the depot, a telegraph operator leaned out the window and called, "Girl, you got folk coming or not?" She looked toward him, lips parting as if words might come. But nothing did. She only clutched the doll tighter. The operator sighed, ducked back inside, and the click of the telegraph key filled the silence. The girl lowered herself onto the bench, bag on her lap. She swung her legs slowly back and forth, boot toes not quite reaching the ground. Her eyes never left the road stretching out of town, mirages rippling at its far edge. The saloon man shifted, lifting a glass from the table just inside. He drank, slow and steady, though his gaze never left her. The piano played faintly, drifting notes that rose and fell like echoes in an empty canyon. Laughter barked once from inside, but died quick when folks noticed the man at the door watching something beyond them. The girl's lips moved again, whisper soft, "Someone will come." They have to. The ragged doll dangled in her grip, one arm hanging by a loose stitch, button eyes staring at nothing. The platform boards gave a tired groan under her weight as she leaned back. Above, the sky spread wide, a merciless sheet of white-blue flame. The air smelled of hot iron and dried dust. She waited. No one came. The saloon man's glass lowered. His hand flexed once, twice before he set it down. His hat brim shadowed his face, but the corner of his mouth twitched, as if holding back words meant to stay buried. The girl curled against the bench, hugging the doll close. Her eyelids drooped, heavy with exhaustion, yet she kept looking toward the road, as if sheer will could summon someone out of the shimmering horizon. The town drifted on around her. Wagons rattled by, wheels screeching against dry wood. A pair of dogs fought over a bone in the alley. A crow perched on the depot roof, cawing sharp and cruel. The man in the doorway did not move. Minutes stacked on minutes. The sun crawled lower, heat softening into gold. Shadows lengthened across the street. The girl's small voice carried, though no one listened but the wind. "Someone will come." Her words fell like stones into the silence. And from the doorway, the man listened, jaw tight, hand clenched, face hidden. The train's echo had long faded. The town had returned to its ordinary noise: boots, spurs, piano notes, a hammer striking nails down the road. But the girl at the station sat alone, a single figure against the wide, indifferent desert. The man shifted once more. His boots scraped the floorboard. He did not step out. Not yet. The girl pressed her face into the doll's threadbare dress and whispered again, softer this time, like a prayer. The man turned his head away, but his hand trembled as it reached for another cigarette. He struck the match hard, flames snapping loud in the quiet evening air. The first star blinked awake above the desert horizon. The girl did not see it. She only waited. The man smoked, silent, still shadowed in the saloon doorway. And the story of them both, the orphaned child who believed someone would come, and the man who swore he never would, hung in the dry, dying light of day, already rooting itself into legend. A past buried in dust. Cards slapped against the table, sharp as gunfire. Whiskey glasses clinked. A cloud of smoke curled beneath the saloon lamps, twisting slow, heavy, unbroken. He sat alone in the corner, hat pulled low, one boot heel tapping against the floorboard. His glass stayed full. His hand never strayed far from it, though the tremor in his fingers made each lift deliberate, cautious. The piano player's tune faltered when a cowboy leaned close, whispering. The words spread fast, riding from table to table like brush fire. His name was on their lips again. They said it low, but the fear in their eyes carried louder than shouts. The girl's reflection flashed in the mirror behind the bar, small, weary, sitting on the station bench outside. She hadn't moved in hours. She hadn't been claimed. She hadn't been fed. And still, no one went to her. He stared into his drink, amber light catching on the rim. A laugh split the room. Rough, sharp. A drifter pushed through the swinging doors, spurs jangling. Heard tell, the drifter sneered. This town's harboring a ghost. Man who killed 20 by the time he was 25. Man who once drew before another fella's hand even twitched. They say he's rot in here, drowning in whiskey. The saloon went quiet. The man in the corner didn't answer. He only tipped his glass, slow, steady. The drifter spat on the floor. Maybe it's all lies. Maybe the great gunfighter's just a coward now. Chair scraped. Boots shifted. The crowd leaned back, watching. The man's jaw tightened, but he did not lift his head. He set the glass down with a click, sharp as a trigger snap. The drifter waited. No challenge came. Finally, with a curse, he shoved the door open and stormed into the night. The piano stuttered back to life, shaky, unsure. The man exhaled once low, ragged. His hand shook harder now. He pressed his palm against the table until the tremor stilled. Through the smoke-fogged window, the girl sat on the platform, bag beside her, doll limp in her lap. She was staring down the road again, her face pale in the dusk. His chest tightened. He looked away. The sheriff's office door creaked open across the street. Sheriff Harlan stepped out, paunch straining against his vest, eyes darting nervously left and right. He spotted the girl, shook his head, and lit a cigar. Then he turned his back and walked away. Bootsteps sounded near the station. A pair of strangers had come in on the late stagecoach, their hats low, coats long. They paused when they saw the girl, exchanged a look, then smirked. One bent down, speaking low. The girl shook her head, clutching the doll tighter. The men laughed, cruel and hollow, before striding toward the saloon. They pushed through the doors, swagger heavy, and ordered whiskey with silver coins that rang too sharp against the bar. Their voices carried, bragging about rides through canyons, about taking what they wanted. The man in the corner didn't look up, but he heard every word. The girl's image haunted the glass beside him. Small, silent, alone. He shut his eyes. Behind the lids, he saw faces, dozens of them. Many had dropped in dusty streets, their blood soaking into boards. Some young, some old. Every one of them frozen forever in the moment his hand had moved quicker. He had sworn never again. Never another. Never. The door creaked open. The girl peeked inside, hesitant, eyes wide. The strangers noticed. Their laughter sharpened. One raised his glass toward her. Ain't she a pitiful thing? The girl shrank back, but her gaze snagged on the man in the corner. For one heartbeat, she stared straight at him. Something flickered in her expression. Recognition, or maybe hope. He looked down fast, dragging his hat lower. His hand squeezed the glass until it rattled. The strangers roared, slamming their drinks. The girl backed out, retreating into the night. The man in the corner exhaled slow, like a man pushing down the weight of a mountain. He reached for another cigarette. The match hissed, flared, lit his lined face for a breath. Outside, the girl's voice carried faintly, soft, pleading, asking someone on the boardwalk for bread. She was pushed aside, her words ignored. The man drew deep on the smoke. His jaw clenched. His boots stayed rooted. From the back of the saloon, two cowhands whispered. "Word is Braddock's gang is riding this way. Heard they've been killing through the canyon all week." "Braddock," the other hissed. "Ain't he the one who used to run with?" The whisper cut off. Both glanced toward the man in the corner. Their throats bobbed. They didn't finish the thought. The man's hand stilled on his glass. His shoulders hunched lower. The ghosts pressed closer. Outside, the girl huddled against the depot wall, doll clutched under her chin, eyes fixed on the road that led to nowhere. The saloon doors swung wide again, letting in a gust of dust. The two strangers from before stepped out, boots loud, spurs ringing. Their laughter echoed down the street. One pointed toward the girl. The man in the corner didn't move, but his fingers curled once, slow, heavy, near the place his gun no longer rested. The glass trembled in his grip. The smoke from his cigarette curled, pale against the lamplight. His eyes lifted, only for a second, toward the empty holster he had sworn never to wear again. The piano faltered. The crowd shifted uneasily. The girl sat in the shadows of the platform, whispering to the doll, her words carried only by the wind. The man shut his eyes, as though bracing against a storm he knew was already here. And outside, the hoofbeats of riders thundered faint and far, drawing closer with each passing moment. The shadow of outlaws. Hoofbeats rolled through town like thunder. Dust rose in choking waves. Windows slammed shut. Doors locked fast. The piano inside the saloon cut short mid-note. The riders came in hard, black coats flapping, rifles across their saddles. Their leader, broad-shouldered, scar down his cheek, grinned wide as he reined up in the center of the street. His horse pawed the ground, snorting steam. The townsfolk vanished. Only the girl sat visible on the platform, clutching her doll, watching the gang with wide, unblinking eyes. "Look what we got here," one outlaw jeered, pointing. "Little prize left waiteth." Laughter followed, harsh and hungry. The sheriff's door cracked open an inch, then closed again quick. His shadow disappeared inside. The gunfighter sat in the saloon's corner, glass untouched, smoke curling around his face. His jaw worked, tight as iron. Outside, the gang dismounted, boots hitting dirt heavy. Spurs rang sharp. They circled the girl, shadows blotting out the last of the sun. She hugged the doll closer, knuckles white. Her lips moved, whispering to it, though no sound carried. "Easy pickings," one spat, nudging her bag with his boot. "Ain't nobody watching." The saloon man's chair scraped slow across the floor. Not a soul in the room breathed. The outlaw leader crouched in front of the girl, scarred face splitting in a grin. He reached for her doll. Her cry cracked the silence. The doll hit the dirt. Button eyes stared skyward. The saloon door banged open. The gunfighter stepped into the fading light, boots grinding dust. His hat brim shadowed his face, but his voice cut cold and clear. "She ain't alone." The outlaws froze, laughter choking in their throats. Recognition rippled through them like a whip crack. One whispered, "God Almighty." Thought he was dead. The leader straightened, grin faltering. "Well, I'll be." The legend crawls out from his grave. The girl's eyes locked on the man. Her breathing eased, though tears streaked her cheeks. The townsfolk peeked through cracks and shutters, whispering prayers, too fearful to move. The leader spat in the dust. "You ain't wore iron in years. What you think you're gonna do, old man? Stare us down to death?" The gunfighter's hand hovered near his empty hip. Nothing hung there. No holster. No weapon. His voice dropped, low as rolling thunder. "Try me." The leader chuckled, mean and sharp. "Boys, show him how we deal with ghosts." An outlaw swung a fist toward the girl. She cried out, stumbling back. The gunfighter's boots pounded forward before thought could stop him. His hand closed on the outlaw's wrist, iron strong. The crack of bone carried clear. The man screamed, dropping to his knees. The girl scrambled behind the gunfighter, clutching the back of his coat. The leader's grin vanished. His eyes hardened, calculating. Ain't no ghost. He's still quick. The gunfighter's chest heaved. Sweat streaked his temples. His eyes never left the circle of men. The saloon behind him stayed silent. Crowd pressed flat against walls. No help came. The girl's whisper floated up, trembling. Please don't leave me. The man's jaw locked. He took one step forward, shoulders squared. His shadow stretched long in the dying light. The leader sneered, drawing his pistol slow, deliberate. Let's see if the legend still bleeds. The gunfighter's hand twitched, empty. He looked down at it, trembling against his thigh. His breath dragged heavy through his teeth. The girl tugged his coat, eyes wide with trust. Papa looked like you before the war took him. The words cut deep. His shoulders straightened. The tremor stilled. His eyes hardened like steel tempered in fire. The leader cocked his pistol, hammer snapping back loud. The gunfighter didn't flinch. He only stepped closer, voice low as the desert wind. Best you think hard before you pull that trigger. The gang shifted, unease in their stance. They had heard the stories. They knew the tales whispered in 100 towns, of duels ended before the other man's hand twitched. The girl clung tighter, breath shaking. The leader's sneer wavered. He spat again, though his voice carried less certainty now. You laid down your guns. You're nothing but a relic. The gunfighter leaned in, shadows deep across his face. Relics don't forget. The street went silent, save the restless snorts of horses. The wind stilled. Even the crow on the depot roof hushed. The leader hesitated, his pistol lowered just an inch. The gunfighter's eyes narrowed. One outlaw shifted nervously, muttering, Braddock, he's still got it. The leader snarled, shoving the pistol back into its holster. This ain't done. Tomorrow at dawn, Street'll see if the legend still stands. He jerked his head. The gang mounted, spurs ringing sharp. Hooves thundered as they wheeled away, dust swallowing them whole. The silence after was heavy, suffocating. The gunfighter stood, unmoving, chest heaving, fists clenched. The girl's voice broke it, soft but steady. You came. He turned, eyes meeting hers. Something in his face, haunted, tired but fierce, softened. She held out the doll, dirt-stained and torn. They broke her arm. But you came. His hand shook as he reached down, brushing the doll's fabric. His voice was rough, near a whisper. I ain't leaving you. Behind shutter cracks, townsfolk watched, breath held. None spoke. None dared. The girl leaned against him, small and trembling, but unafraid now. The man straightened, the last of the light burning across his shoulders. He looked down the road where dust still hung. His voice carried, quiet but certain. This ends at dawn. The last draw. Dawn split the desert in fire and gold. The street lay empty, dust curling low, boards creaking beneath the weight of silence. The girl stood on the station steps, clutching her doll, eyes wide. She looked only at him. He stepped into the street, boots heavy on the dirt. No hat brim could hide the lines carved deep into his face, the years, the ghosts. His hands hung loose at his sides. Empty. Hoofbeats thundered. Braddock and his men rode in hard, black coats snapping like flags. They reined up sharp, horses screaming, dust exploding around them. Rifles glinted in the new sun. Braddock swung down, pistol already in hand. His scar caught the light, jagged and cruel. There he is, the man who once killed faster than a shadow. His grin cut wide. Let's see if he still can. The town watched from behind shutters and door cracks. Breathless, waiting. The girl whispered to her doll, he's not alone. The gunfighter's eyes never left Braddock. His jaw clenched. His voice carried low, steady as stone. You've ridden far enough. Laughter split from the gang, harsh, empty. Braddock sneered. You think you can stop us barehanded? The gunfighter didn't answer. He only shifted his weight, boots grinding dust. Braddock's eyes narrowed. No iron on your hip. You're a broken man standing in his grave. The girl's voice rose, thin but sharp, cutting through the silence. He's not broken. Braddock's sneer faltered. His pistol twitched in his grip. The gunfighter moved one step closer. The morning light caught his face, and the years of killing, the years of silence, burned there for all to see. "Draw," he said. The word cracked like a whip. Braddock's pistol snapped up, hammer cocked back. His men shifted, hands to rifles ready. The gunfighter's hand flashed, quicker than thought, quicker than air. From beneath his coat came steel, notched and worn, a revolver forgotten but never forsaken. The shot split dawn. Braddock staggered, eyes wide, pistol clattering to the dirt. Blood spread dark across his chest. He dropped hard, dust swallowing his last breath. Silence. The gang froze, disbelief plain. One jerked his rifle up, but the gunfighter's revolver was already smoking. Another shot rang. The man spun, collapsed. He moved like a storm, calm and relentless. Each shot precise, each strike final. Dust rose thick, smoke curling in golden light. One by one, the outlaws fell, cries cut short, boots thrashing, then still. The town watched, spellbound, the legend made flesh again. The girl held her doll tight, whispering through tears, "Don't stop." The last man dropped his rifle, hands trembling high. His horse screamed and bolted. He stumbled back, tripping over bodies, running until dust swallowed him whole. Silence fell again, thicker than before. The gunfighter stood alone in the street, chest heaving, revolver smoking his grip. The bodies lay still around him. Braddock's scarred face stared sightless at the rising sun. The girl stepped down from the station. Slow, steady, barefoot against the dust. She reached him, small hand pressing against his coat. "You came," she whispered. He looked down at her, eyes hollow yet burning, and holstered the revolver with a final, steady motion. "I ain't leaving you," he said, voice raw, breaking. Behind shutters, townsfolk whispered in awe. The name they had buried was alive again, carved into legend. The girl leaned into him, doll pressed between them. The old man turned his face toward the desert horizon. His voice carried for all to hear, quiet as it was, "This is the last time." He took her hand. Together they walked past the bodies, through the dust, into the rising light. The street stayed silent, save for the echo of their steps. And long after they were gone, the town swore the desert still remembered that dawn, the echo of his gun, and the sound of a little girl's laugh carrying longer than the train whistle.